Welcome back, learners, and let's focus now on more of those application questions. Let's look at number 1. A small factory uses copper to make pans for cooking. Exactly 3/50 kg of copper is needed to make 1 pan. How much copper is needed for 2 pans? So, what are we going to do? We know that for 1 pan, we need 3/50. So, how are we going to determine how many we need for 2 pans? We are just going to add 3/50 plus 3/50. 1 pan plus 1 pan. And now, because we are working with just 50ths, the denominator is the same, we are just going to add the numerators. So 3/50 plus 3/50 gives us 6/50. If we look at that answer, it is not in simplified terms or in its simplest form. So how do we simplify a common fraction? Remember, we need to find the highest common factor. And the common factor, the highest common factor between 6 and 50 is 2. So what are we going to do? We are going to take the numerator and we are going to divide it by 2. We are going to do the same thing for the denominator and we are going to divide it by 2. So what is 6 divided by 2? That is 3. And what is 50 divided by 2? That is 25. It means that how much copper are we going to need for these 2 pans? It is going to be 3 divided by 25, or 3/25 of copper, kg of copper. Let's move on to the next one. So number 2, we are still in that small factory. It manufactures copper pans for cooking. Exactly 3/50 of kg of copper is needed to make 1 pan. The latest order used 1 17/50 kg of copper for 39 pans. The company that ordered the pans has now decided to make the order 40 pans instead of 39 pans. So the total that we have here is for 39 pans. But now the company has changed and needs just 1 more pan, because from 39 pans, we just add 1, then we have that 40 that they want. So what exactly is happening here? We know that for their order of 39 pans, we needed 1 17/50 kg of copper. And because we know that we are going to work with that, I am going to convert it. That is a mixed fraction. It is easier if we just are going to convert it to a mixed fraction, an improper fraction, so that we can easily work with that. So 1 whole and 17/50 of copper can be converted into, do you remember how we convert? We need to change that 1 so that it has a denominator of 50. And that one is an easy one because we are thinking of our properties of 1. We know that 50/50 is the same as 1. And when we add that to 17/50, that now gives us a total of 67/50 that we are going to be working with. But again, we also know that for 1 pan, how much copper do we need? We need 3/50. So what is happening here? We had 39 pans, now we need 1 more pan. What am I going to do? Am I going to add? Am I going to subtract? What do you think? If you are thinking of adding, then you are correct. What are we adding here? 67/50 plus just 1 more pan, which is 3/50. How much does that give us? That is 70/50 in total. And as we have that improper fraction, why? Because the numerator is bigger than the denominator. Now we need to change that. that will be 50 50ths plus 20 50ths. Now we know that 50 50ths is 1 whole, and that 20 50ths, we can simplify it by finding the highest common factor. And the highest common factor between 20 and 50 is actually 10. So that is going to give us a fraction of 2/5. And our final answer is going to be 1 whole and 2/5. So that is the amount of kilograms of copper that we will need for 40 pans. Let's move on to the third application question. So number 3, we have a rectangle. So it says there a rectangle is 3 5/8 centimeters long and 2 3/5 centimeters wide. What is the perimeter of this rectangle? So we have here the length as 3 5/8 and we have the width as 2 3/5. So we have a rectangle here, and we are going to just label it here as having a length of 3 5/8 and the width is 2, that is 3 5/8 centimeters, and the width is 2 3/5, and that is also centimeters. So because these numbers are mixed numbers, what we can do is to quickly convert them into improper fractions. So when we are looking at 3 5/8, how are we going to convert that? We know that that is going to be 24/8. Why? Because we know that 24/8 is equals to 3 as a whole number. And we are adding that to 5/8. And together that gives us 29/8. So we know that the length of this is 29/8. And then we are going to do the same thing for the width, and that is 2 3/5. That is going to be 10/5, which is the same as 2 wholes. And then we are going to add 3/5 onto that, and that gives us 13/5. So that means that that side is equals to 13/5. We know that a rectangle, the two opposite sides are equal. So if this side is 13/5, this side is also 13/5. That is actually written wrong. That is supposed to be 2 3/5. And if the length is 29/8, that means the length on the other side is 29/8. And how do we calculate perimeter? We are just going to add all the sides. So that is going to be 29/8 plus another 29/8, and we are going to add 13/5 plus another 13/5. The ones that have the same denominator, I'm just going to add them together. So 29/8 plus 29/8 gives us a total of 58/8. And we are adding this to 26/5. Now we are working with two fractions that do not have the same denominator. How do we get them to the same denominator? We are going to find the lowest common multiple, which is 40. So how do we get it to the same denominator? Remember, we need to multiply. So what's going to happen here is that we are going to multiply that 8 by 5. And why are we multiplying by 5? Because it is going to take us to 40. And with the next fraction as well, we are going to multiply the 5 by 8. Why? Because it is going to take us to 40. And what I do with the denominator, I need to go and do with the numerator. So what does this fraction become? It will become 290 divided by 40 plus 208 divided by 40. Let's continue there at the top because we've run out of space here. So that in total is going to be, so we have 290 divided by 40 plus 208 divided by 40. That will give us a total of 498 divided by 40. And because that is an improper fraction, because the numerator is bigger than the denominator, we are going to need to simplify it. So when we simplify that, that becomes 480 divided by 40 plus 18 divided by 40. When we simplify that, 480 divided by 40 is 12. And then we also have 18 divided by 40, of which when we simplify it using the highest common factor, now the highest common factor between 18 and 40 is 2. So that will leave us with a final answer of 12. And if I divide each of those numerator and the denominator by 2, that will give me 9/20. And that will be the final answer for that question. Let's move on to the next one. Here we have Ranzo and Regina want to order pizza for lunch. Ranzo usually eats 3/5 of a pizza and Regina usually eats 2/3 of a pizza. How much pizza must they order so that they both get enough? So for us to find out how much pizza they must order, we need to know how much they eat put together. So that is simple. That is just an addition question. Do not be thrown off by that eats, because they haven't eaten the pizza yet. They still need to buy it. So we need to find out how much pizza they are going to buy. We have 3/5 plus 2/3. And when we add those two, we need to find the lowest common multiple, which in this case is our 15. So when we multiply that denominator by 3 to get the 15, we multiply that numerator by 3. And then we multiply that denominator by 5 to get the 15, and we multiply that numerator by 5, then that will give us 9/15 plus 10/15, which gives us a total of 19/15. But as we can see, it is an improper fraction, meaning the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So what must happen here? We must say now we're going to split it into 15 divided by 15 plus 4 divided by 15, which is going to give us, from 15 divided by 15, we know that is 1. So we have 1 whole and we have 4/15. So how much pizza must they buy? Because it is more than 1 that they are going to eat put together, it means that they should buy 2 pizzas. We will go to the next whole number because we know that you cannot go to a shop and buy part of a pizza. Let's look at the last question quickly. Number 5, it says that Ranzo and Regina have ordered 2 full pizzas for lunch. The amount of pizza they both ate put together is 1 whole and 4/15 of pizza, which is the answer that we got from the previous question. So how much pizza is left? For us to know how much pizza is left, we need to take the 2 whole pizzas that they bought and we need to subtract what they have eaten. And because we are working with a whole number, we are going to change it into a fraction. And from that previous calculation, we know that 1 whole and 4/15 is 19/15. And we need to get them to the same denominator, that is 15. What does this mean? It means I'm going to multiply that 1 by 15 so that it can get to 15 as a lowest common multiple. And then we are going to multiply the numerator as well. That gives us 30/15, which is the same as 2 wholes, and we are subtracting 19/15. If we take 30/15 and subtract 19/15, then we are going to be left with 11/15. and that is the amount of pizza that Ranzu and Regina have left. Let's quickly go to an ad break and then we'll see you just now.